What's up, cool kids? Happy Friday. I hope you're doing wonderful. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Langston Frazier Show. I'm your host, Langston Frazier, and if you're new here, this is a golf-related podcast where we get to hear some of the most interesting stories affecting the game of golf from both inside and outside the golf industry, featuring some of the industry's up-and-coming names. If you didn't check out my most recent episode with Steve Sands, I highly suggest that you go check that out. You can just go get that podcast wherever you get your favorite podcast. But before we jump into today's interview, I have a great guest lined up for you guys. Let's check out what's going on in the world of sports with the sports update, one of my favorite parts of the show. But let's get into it. Let's see what's happening in the world of sports. Hey, if you've been sleeping under a rock, the highly anticipated second season of Full Swing, the documentary sports style show that Netflix is producing following the PGA Tour around the world, just dropped 2 days ago. So on March 6th, it's going to be a really compelling season. I've already watched the Full Swing, so I won't spoil it. Obviously, the big event of last year was the Ryder Cup. So kind of tracks the lead up to the Ryder Cup. So again, not going to spoil it for you, but if you haven't checked it out, I highly suggest that you do. Off of that, one of the executive producers of the show is launching a new media brand, which is super exciting. Chad Mumm, who's the executive producer, is launching Pro Shop. It's a new venture, kind of from the Full Swing, with some media executives. Just launched this just after the launch of Full Swing, the second season. It's basically going to be a new media and commerce company focused on golf. That's really going to help boost the game of golf, and it's basically just a platform where we'll get to understand these more diverse stories from the entertainment side, from the media side, from the commerce side as well. So obviously they're going to be partnering with the PGA Tour. They're going to have access to highlights, rights, on-site production, and they've also acquired Scratch, which is one of the coolest brands in sports and golf today. So I'm super excited to see what they're going to do. Obviously, Chad Mumm is going to stay the executive producer of Full Swing and Pro Shop Studios. They're going to partner with Vox Media as well, and so many others, which will do hopefully more seasons of Full Swing. But I think people are really catching on to this sports documentary style. Obviously, they did it with tennis. It's really built to follow the golf, same thing like they did with F1 and Drive to Survive. So I'm curious to see where this goes over the next couple of years. Obviously, today is Friday, March 8th. It is International Women's Day. So to all the amazing women out there in sports and outside of sports, thank you for what you do and your contributions to society on this International Women's Day. And also, I want to give a quick shout out to, as the time you're listening to this episode, still the head pro at Belhaven Country Club, but newly the director of golf at Springfield Country Club, Alessandra Martua. Congratulations on your new role as the director of golf at Springfield Golf and Country Club in Virginia. Not a whole bunch of directors of golf that are females in the golf industry, but to have her take that title, obviously a very successful 2-year run at Belhaven, now taking the helm at Springfield. Excited to see what she's going to do there and over the course of the next couple of years of her career. So congrats to her and her family. Let's change topics here, staying on the women's game. Want to bring up some updates to you and regarding the next golf tour. Obviously, it's a pro women's tour that's kind of based in the United States, and obviously this is kind of poor timing on their part, but obviously it's news that I need to tell you about. They're changing their eligibility policy to kind of protect the integrity and the competitive nature of their tour. And this is effective immediately. And this is due, and basically the policy that's being set forward here is all competitors that play on their tour must be biologically female at birth in order to participate. According to a press release, this says this decision underscores the organization's commitment to maintaining integrity of the women's professional women's golf and to ensure fair competition. Obviously, if you want to read the full press release, you can go to their website, nextwomensprotourgolf.com. You can see it there. But this is in response to one of their golfers that's on the tour that's now off. Obviously, she's had headlines over the last couple of years. Haley Davidson, who is a transgender golfer, also a friend of me, who's a great golfer in itself, played collegiate golf earlier in her career, and now decided she wants to pursue professional golf with the hopes of obviously being the first transgender golfer on the LPGA Tour, which is the pro women's tour of women's golf. Obviously, her playing on this tour, she was signed up for the next 3 events to play and to build on the success that she's already had this season. Obviously, she's already had a victory this year. She was going to play at the Dare to Bear Championship, the White Heron Women's Challenge, and obviously the Tour Championship at the end of March, with the chance to get onto the Epson Tour, which is a step below the LPGA Tour. I'm curious to see what people think about it. Me personally, I don't agree with the decision, but hopefully things will change. It's kind of sad, and the only reason I think while they're doing this is because she's played very well on this tour. Obviously, you can go back and look at the track record, right? Like, and I've talked to Haley about this, and she's lost distance since she's began her transition. But she's also had success on this tour, but that hasn't come without scrutiny of her playing on this tour from people outside of the game that are just fans of this tour and just don't believe in the policy of letting her play professional golf. But from some players and some other people in the industry and also without the industry. So it's very unfortunate to see, especially on International Women's Day, to have this drop earlier this morning. It's unfortunate, but hopefully some good things will come her way, and I wish her the best of luck. And anybody who's going through that journey to play professional golf that is trans, both male and female, I wish them the best of luck on their journey. Jumping in some other women's golf news here. Today is obviously the 8th of March. We are just under a month away from the Augusta National Women's Amateur. The field that they have this year is stacked as it always in. Amari Avery of the United States makes her way back. Zoe Antoinette Campos makes her way to the Anawa. And defending champion Anna Davis, who plays at Auburn, is back. Gianna Clemente is back. It's Rachel Heck, you name it. Megan Guyana is back as well. You name it. Rachel Kuhn is back. This field this year at Augusta National is going to be stacked. Obviously, it's from April 3rd to the 6th, leading up to the Masters. Obviously, they'll play the first 2 rounds at Champions Retreat on the 3rd and the 4th, and then all the players, whether you make the cut or not, will get to go to Augusta National to play that final round in Augusta, Georgia, ahead of the Masters, and kind of that process. I think it's a great competition for only the collegiate golfers, but the amateur golfers. So some of these players are not even in college, but to have that opportunity to get those ranking points and play in that event, it's going to be incredible to see, and I'm looking forward to it. So we'll see what happens. Let's get into it. A little fashion news. Tiger Woods Obviously, as we all know, towards the end of 2023, ended his sponsorship with Nike. Obviously, the rumors were going around. What was he going to do? Was he going to make his own, fashion company, artist apparel company? Was he just going to find another sponsor to wear? Well, the time has come. We officially know what he's doing. He launched, along with TaylorMade, which is his own golf company. It's going to be separate in itself. Obviously, they're going to have their full support of the weight of the TaylorMade brand. But he's starting a media company, or not a media company, a golf apparel company called Sunday Red. 3 words. It's really unique. Obviously, this started the week of the Genesis. Obviously, Tiger Woods played the Genesis, plays the first 2 rounds, got sick, had to pull out of the event. So we never saw the signature red yet in that lineup. But it's super cool. If you haven't seen the logo, there's 15 stripes that are representing the 15 majors that Tiger Woods has won over the course of his career. 82 PGA Tour victories, the Presidential Medal of Freedom, and a Hall of Fame member itself. It's a brand, according to their website, that promises to bring a new and elevated standard to performance wear and luxury golf and lifestyle fashion. So I'm looking forward to seeing where it just goes. Obviously, they're saying it's another fashion, not just another fashion brand and a clothing brand, but it's what golfers wear every day, and what Tiger has learned over his career. So we'll see. Obviously, they're going to do a men's line as well. They're going to do a women's line and a junior line over the course of the next few months. Obviously, there's nothing crazy out on it yet. We haven't seen Tiger in it much, but for a few rounds before it launched at the Genesis Invitational, which is sponsored by his foundation, TGR. But May 1st, we get to see what the full collection looks like. So obviously, stay tuned around the month of May, and we're going to see what happens when Sunday Red officially gets unveiled to the public. If you want more information on Sunday Red, Tiger Woods' new lifestyle fashion brand, performance wear, head to sundayred.com for more information. A couple weeks ago, if you missed it, the match was back. This is the first time they put women into the competition. Rose Zhang and Lexi Thompson played alongside Max Homa of the PGA Tour, and also an outspoken member of the PGA Tour against the LIV Golf Tour, Rory McIlroy. Incredible venue at the park, a place that is brand new to the golf scene. Obviously, they opened up in late 2022. Obviously, I got a couple friends down there as well. Clay Myers, Cody Sinclair, Bridget Ackley, who teaches the junior instruction down there, Justin Mark as well. So to have that venue, that important event, Monday prime time, come to the park, obviously, what a great event that was there. I'm going to spoil it for you since it's already passed. Rory McIlroy did win a lot of money going to charity. So I'm looking forward to the next edition of the match. And every time they do it, obviously it's sponsored by Capital One, but every time they do it, it gets better and better and better and better. So we'll see what happens on the next edition. Hopefully it's like later this year, beginning of next season, we'll see it. But I think it's a great live event. So let me know your thoughts on the match if you saw it. I thought it was a cool event. I can't wait for the next edition. Last thing, I got some new gear in the bag. Super excited about this one. Obviously 2024 is a brand new year. Big year in the 10K, inertia, AI technology. Obviously, if you don't know, I am signed on staff with Callaway. Got some new tools in the back, just 4, but I'm going to tell you about them. Obviously, the Paradigm AI Smoke Driver, 9-degree head for me in the left-handed style with the Hazardous Black shaft. Played some golf earlier this week on Monday at the Mid-Atlantic super meeting in Lansdowne Resort down in Virginia. Had a wonderful time, played with some colleagues as well. To put that driver in the bag for the first time and play it, incredible. Just after that, put a fairway wood. Obviously, I put the Paradigm AI Smoke fairway wood, put a 3-wood in the bag with their brand new shaft that just came out. The AV Series Blue from Mitsubishi Chemical, 10-size shafts in the bag this year. Then I made a putter switch. Wasn't expecting I was going to make a putter switch, but I did end up making one. Got something a little different from what I had last year. Obviously, if you know, I had the Tri-Hot 7 model. Switched it up this year, a little smaller of a head. Went with the AI1 milled 7T double bend putter. Iconic face. Great field. Obviously, it's face balance, but with the milled face, with that nice and blue with the gold touch on it, I tell you, it is absolutely sick. Played on Monday, obviously, as I just said, at the Mid-Atlantic Super Meeting Scramble. As a team, had some great pros with us as well. Tyler McElroy, Tim as well, and Adam Raylon out of Virginia, all played really, really well. We all had our own strengths to our game, but my putting was amazing, folks. With this brand new putter out of the wrapper, we got to do some great putting on the Norman course. So great time there. Excited to see where the game goes over the course of the season. But that is it. That's all that's going on in the world of sports. Obviously, there's more things. Oh, I missed one thing before we go. Obviously, on the PGA Tour is always trying to innovate itself and make itself better than what it is today. Obviously, the Live Golf Tour adds to it. But I want to talk about something real quick that some of you might have missed. It's big, but it's incredible to see that the game of golf is evolving, and this came out a little earlier this week. If I can find what I am looking for, yes, PGA Tour Enterprises Board of Directors announced. This is brand new. Obviously, it's going to be 13 members established for the recently launched PGA Tour Enterprises. This is also effective immediately, according to their press release. The new board is going to be comprised of 9 PGA Tour directors approved by the Policy Board, and adds alongside the strategic sports group directors appointed by their investor group. So obviously all 6 player directors from the Policy Board are going to serve on both the Enterprise Board as well, and then on the Policy Board. So we'll see how that works out as well. Obviously, this is in response to them building up to the tour, trying to keep their players on the tour, as Live Golf just earlier this week was denied and withdrew its application for official world ranking points. We'll see what happens there. Obviously, golf is evolving. We'll see how it evolves over the next couple of months. Jay Monahan, of course, will serve as the executive officer, of the enterprise, and Tiger Woods is going to serve as the vice chairman of the board. So we'll see what happens there. Obviously, it's an ongoing thing. Obviously, if you don't know, Live and PGA Tour are kind of joining back together. Obviously, if you watch Full Swing, you'll see what happens there and how those discussions are going. But that's it for the sports report. For all the latest news, head to golfchannel.com, NBC Sports, PGA Tour, and so many other great outlets where you can get to see some of the greatest news in golf and what's going on. Introducing Donald Ross Sportswear. The product was born from a simple idea to create performance fabric golf polos tailored for the country club lifestyle. Focused always on the golfer, creating garments that perform both on the course and off the course. Over the past 15 years, the brand of Donald Ross and their CEO and founder, Rob Stein, have developed a premium name in the highest golf clubs and golf shops around the world. While the core of the business remains here in the United States, the brand has expanded their products and their product categories to provide two unique fits: the classic fit and the sport fit. My favorite. Keeping in mind the lofty reputation of Donald Ross, holding true to timeless style and quality while delivering innovative performance golf wear. It's truly more than just a polo. So if you have the opportunity, visit Donald Ross Sportswear, and for more information, visit donaldross.com. Welcome to the Langston Frater Show podcast. Great guest with me today. I'm excited about this one, folks. Please welcome Colby Powell, native of Washington, D.C.'s current student at the University of Maryland Eastern Shore, where I went to school in the PGM program. Hey, Colby, happy Friday. Welcome to the podcast. What's going on?
Nothing much, man. Hot fried. Catch it.
Hey, we're catching it all day. Hey, glad to sit down with you. Let people know what you're doing with your career and your young career. I say we'll go over a couple topics. Pretty simple. I won't throw any curveballs at you, I promise, but it should be a good time. But let's get into it. Kind of tell me, kind of a little bit about yourself for the people that don't know you. We'll go from there.
Yeah, so I started playing golf when I was 3 years old. My granddad got me in the game of golf. He was a businessman, and he was trying to really at a young age trying to get me to get in the habit of networking and the importance of networking. And from there, I kind of took with it and just kept playing golf and using those values that he instilled in me to this day. As it's not what you know, it is who you know in this industry. So from there, I played high school golf, middle school golf, junior golf events. I'm currently on the team at University of Maryland Eastern Shore. I in high school, I actually had the pleasure of working at Congressional Country Club, working outside operations, with the great help of Mr. Dickie Carter, a great mentor of mine. And yeah,
I love that. So, like, for a lot of people who don't know, obviously you're on the men's golf team at UMES, also again known as the University of Maryland Eastern Shore. But if you're a long time listener to the podcast, you already know that. So it's interesting that you chose golf because a lot of people don't choose that as like a first career. So did you always want to be like a golf pro when you're growing up? Was it something different that you wanted to be and you kind of stumbled into golf as like a career? Because it's typically not like a first choice per se when you
yeah.
think about a career.
So originally, I was like kind of fond of the idea. I knew about the PGM program, especially with the first tee of Greater Washington, D.C. Some directors and some people of the program have came along and talked about the program, but I didn't really decide to make it more of a career until I was working at Congressional in high school, where I actually got to work along two alumni of University of Maryland Eastern Shore, DeAndre Diggs and Young Lee. So they were very different from all the other interns. Their work ethic was completely different. Their knowledge of the golf industry and the operation side was hands down more than others. And especially how personable they were and how they kind of took me under their wing. So from that, they kind of won me over to go to Maryland Eastern Shore.
I love that. So you kind of mentioned that you worked at Congressional, which you say it's so chill, like worked at Congressional. Like people don't realize, like Congressional is that place to be. Obviously, it's probably one of the greatest golf courses in this area, the DMV area, DC, Maryland, Virginia area, if you want to call it that. I think it's one of the best golf courses in the United States. A lot of history there. A lot of great members there, and a lot of great championships from the men's and the women's side. Um, and so they got a bunch load of majors coming there in the next couple of years. So that would be really cool to see. But since you worked there in high school, like a lot of people don't get to work there in high school. So kind of tell me about that experience, kind of what you learned when you were there. Obviously, you were, outside services when you were there, but kind of what's that like getting to work at Congressional?
It was fun. It was great. I got to meet a lot of networks, a lot of connections, meaningful and personable connections. And it was just basically a gateway for me, since I kind of found I really wanted to do the golf industry. So it was basically kind of like a job interview before a job interview. Kind of like, would I really like to be in the golf industry? Is this something that I really want to do? So it was a great opportunity, as I was able to not only work carts to kind of work my way up to bag drop to bag room and doing driving range and helping with clean picks. So yeah.
I love that. So you go to Congressional before high school, your first internship out the gate. You get out of town. Obviously, you're from DC, so you've been around for a minute, but you go a little bit north, I should say. Cromwell, Connecticut. You got to work at TPC River Highlands. Obviously, another spot with great PGA Tour events as well. How was that experience for you?
That experience was great. It was amazing. It was also great to also be a part of the PJ Tour event, the Travelers Championship, as I was able to work the merchandise tent and really get more exposure and be able to be more sociable, especially when you're working the counter and you got millions of golf fans and members that you see on a day-to-day basis at the event. So you got to be very vocal and be fluid with your delivery. And then just the staff there was amazing. Like seeing it on TV is completely different. Playing on the video games is completely different than actually being there in real life.
So what's that like? Obviously, you mentioned a great point just now. Like, obviously, you play it in video games. You get to see it on TV. It's something. It's like one of those annual stops that you see every year on the PGA Tour, and then you get to be there in person. So you're not. You're kind of behind the scenes, but you're like in the action. So what's that like being at an actual PGA Tour event compared to like seeing it on TV?
Well, it definitely opened my mind because you think everything's basically perfect, but no, it's a process. It's a step. Like you'll probably start seeing tents and concession stands start going up 2 months, 3 months, sometimes 4 months before the event even has started. And to see how it just transitions to what you see on TV is completely mind blowing. And it definitely gave me a different type of respect for those people who do tournament operations.
I think what people don't realize is obviously they see a PGA Tour event, you go to your favorite, whether it's LPGA or PGA Tour, Epson Tour, you pick the tour, your Corn Fair Tour, you pick your tour of choice, and they see a vast landscape of kind of basically a city for 5 days, 4 days on TV. But like you said, the build out starts months and months before, so it looks perfect on TV, but they don't see the madness behind. Like, oh, the members got to stop playing the courses 5 and 6 weeks before the tournament even happens, and the whole daily operations of being at a club per se is completely different when you run a tour event. Obviously, TPC is a little different because they host a lot of different events at the TPC within the network of the brand, which is also owned by the PGA Tour. So obviously, those golf courses are built to host those kind of tournaments at that capacity of an event. But being there in person, it's just different because you don't really get to experience that anywhere. And what people need to understand is there's so much build up to it, but it's just not the local community that gets to see like this great tournament and get to see all these great players, but it's an atmosphere. It just not affects the golf course, but it's also a community thing. And I think that's really unique. So you getting to do that as your first internship, I think it's a great opportunity for you to kind of really get to grow your brand in itself, see what the TPC brand does, but also get to experience a tour event on your first internship. I think that's really unique. So
Yeah,
obviously,
it was
you
also mind blowing because, Travelers, that's where Spieth actually hit his bunker shot to win to hole out to win that tournament. And when I was there in 2021, here it was a playoff between Harris English and Kramer Hicktok. It was an 8-hole playoff, and just being able to see the excitement and the delay between television and actually being in person and hearing the words was just something that I will cherish and I will take. It's like a once in a lifetime experience I will take from there.
I love that. So getting to kind of get to see that playoff, obviously you really enjoyed the experience because you come back to UMES right after that internship. You come back beginning in August, and we fast forward a year. You get to go to probably one of the best golf courses down south, Kilo Island. So, what was that experience like for you? Obviously, you get to do a little bit of different things. You kind of get to grow on this thing that we're going to touch on kind of towards the end of the podcast. But you really get to experience this inside operations, this coaching and instruction side of the industry that a lot of people want to get into. And we see a lot of it now on Instagram, kind of with influencers and people just doing lessons on Instagram that wasn't a thing 5 years ago. So what was that experience for you, getting to go down south on these great venues?
When I worked at TPC River Highlands, I actually got to help out a little bit with the PJ Junior League, which is a great junior league for developing juniors into the game of golf and making it a competitive atmosphere. So from there, I kind of gravitated towards teaching a little bit. And as an intern, we kind of had two choices of what we wanted to do during our off time. If we were interested, either go caddying or going to the academy and helping out with the junior clinics and adult clinics that you would kind of independently run. And doing that, having that exposure, especially at a resort where you have different skill levels and you have some people that are beginners, first time picking up a golf club and just doing it because, I mean, it's just a golf course on a resort. And you have people that constantly come down or reoccurring guests that come down and just want to basically get kilo upgrades to their game that they've been struggling with. So that's where I gravitated towards, and it really kind of helped me in my professional development in teaching and coaching.
But what's that like going from, River Highlands, kind of semi-private golf club, compared to you're going to this major resort that's obviously kind of a similar thing, semi-private resort. You got to stay at the resort in order to play there and take lessons. But what's that switch like for you, venue-wise?
Venue wise, it's more high paced. It's a lot of golfers coming day in, day out. It's just never know who you're gonna meet. You never know who you'll bump shoulders with. And it's just you gotta be able to constantly produce day in, day out and do it on a repeated basis. And also make sure that you're meeting the guests' needs.
But I think that's super unique because obviously being with that, like you said, being in a rotation of something doing repetitive, that just means your teaching instruction gets better because you're doing it over and over and over again. Because Mr. and Mrs. Jones that you see on week one of your internship, you go 4 and 5 weeks down the road. You're getting to do juniors this week, and you're seeing Mr. and Mrs. Smith coming in from Texas for a random golf trip, and they want a 30-minute lesson. So that's got to really help your confidence as a young instructor.
Yeah, sure. It certainly did. And it kind of made me divide what I kind of wanted to do. It's like, do I want to be in the shop or do I want to be an instructor? Me personally, after that experience at Kiwa Island, I was like, I want to teach. I want to grow the game of golf. And my personal belief is that by making golfers play better, it means they're enjoying the game a lot better. So that beats, I mean, not saying that it's not important to know about Excels and merchandising and tournament operations, but that for me is my focus and my journey of kind of growing the game of golf.
So you kind of build this knack towards teaching, and then you get to just keep building on that experience. And that really kind of what I've seen from you over the last few years, if you've really kind of built that repertoire of teaching, whether it's you at school, you on internships at home in DC. Um, you make this really cool Instagram called Colby Swings, which like I guess is your brand of teaching and kind of your instruction. Kind of how did Colby Swings on Instagram come about, and how does the process kind of work for you? What's your kind of teaching philosophy?
So Kobe Swings came about when it was after Key Island. That's when it came about after I did all my lessons, the group lessons and clinics. I was saying the best way to get teaching experience and the best way to get good at it is to constantly do it. Is to constantly put yourself in situations where you're teaching. You can explain the golf swing in plethora, numerous of different ways. But if you're not able to be confident in yourself and not being able to be aware of your language, it kind of can have its faults. So, well, that's where it really started. So, and then I got so in college we get refund checks. Everybody kind of knows what refund checks. And said, let me start this page. So I'm all in. So the good thing about a UMS is you have a network of everybody, different majors, different people, different entrepreneurs. So I reached out and I saw there was a graphic designer. So I probably spent maybe 2 weeks trying to make a logo. So using my college refund and looking at his product and what he does with graphic designing, I kind of hit him up, and that's when the logo of Kobe Swings started coming to fruition. And then after the logo, a little mini trailer or trailer clip started being posted as well. So from there, I was like, okay, I have to make sure that the quality of my videos are not just like Android quality, pixelated. I have to make sure that they're the highest quality because basically that is a representation of myself. So with the refund money, I also bought me a Sony camera and a tripod. So one of my great friends, DJ, I told him about the program, about what I'm doing. He was just like all in. So basically, he would be the cameraman while I would go and do tips, lessons on the course or at the range at UMS and would just record. And the great thing is that when you record, you're able to pick something out each lesson, each tip that you get. So maybe your first recording, you're like, okay, that was pretty good, but I think I could have simplified it just a little bit more. Or that was pretty good, but I think I should have added a little bit more depth of what the drill purpose or intent is for.
I love that. So you can really turn a refund check that if some students you're lucky to get into a business move just to essentially almost not essentially make you more money, but to grow and build a brand that I've really kind of seen blow up. I love watching your tips. It's fun for me because it's something when I was in undergrad didn't think I could do is film a video and just do swing tips with like my friends and my colleagues. But to kind of see you posting, well, there's a 2 minute video or saying, hey, here's a quick putting tip that you can use the next time and it's like short. That's the thing I like about it. It's like short little tiny little bites and
Yeah.
clips that whether you post it to TikTok, you can post to TikTok or you post it to Instagram or Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it. It's the same thing, and it's little bite-sized little pieces that you can really understand, and they're little short little nuggets that it's not super complex. And biomechanics say move your arm here and move this down 2 degrees flat and bow your wrist and turn this way. But it's like short, simple things that like a middle schooler can understand, and that the fact that you demonstrate that over the course of your lesson, whether you giving a tip or doing it with a student, I think is super unique. That I think not a lot of people are really doing nowadays. The core instruction is what I like to call it, but it's still unique to what you're doing. So I love that. So you use that opportunity, kind of build along that platform. You get to go out to California for 7 months, and you get to go to Pebble Beach Golf Links, which is probably top five, top 10 golf courses, probably in the United States, probably in the world. Which you talk about, going to Kilo Island, and getting to work there. And you talk about, hey, people are coming in for a vacation. Like, hey, that T sheet is booked, and we've talked about it a couple times. That T sheet is booked pretty much 365 days a year from the time it opens to the time it closes, and people are paying a pretty penny to pay there. So, what was that experience like for you, getting to go to Pebble Beach?
It was amazing. It basically topped the other internships I've been at, just because I had the opportunity at the time I came to be there during the AT&T program and be there during the first U.S. Women's Open. My apologies, excuse me, at Pebble Beach. So being a part of history is just amazing, as it was Michelle Wee's last tournament, and the men, they always have the U.S. Open there, so it was a great day, a great time to see the women shine at Pebble Beach, and in addition to that, being able to work at Spanish Bay Pro Shop and Pebble Beach Golf Links Pro Shop was just an honor and a treat, and also shadowing some really great instructors that are great mentors to me till this day, even though I left Pebble Beach and my internship term kind of ended, like Kevin Hansen and Laird Smalls.
That's super unique. Getting to be at two tour events in one location, let alone be a major in itself. And something that, I know if you've kind of keep track of this over the last couple of months, but the empire, the space of women's sports have really grown from the collegiate side, obviously, to the college basketball side with Caitlin Clark selling out games left and right. And it brings more elevation to women's sports overall. Is there something that you kind of picked up watching the female competitors play in these majors that you saw a difference from when you were at River Highlands a few years earlier, seeing the two, comparing the two? Is something better than the other, or see people that really don't realize when you're there watching these top level professionals play in a major?
Well, I would say, my experience at River Highlands, I was mostly in the tent, so I can kind of glance about what the pros are doing. But at Pebble, I was able to like actually walk the line and see different swings, and also go along with my mentor Kevin Hansen, and just walk, and we just talk about the golf swings and how like the women's golf swings are just so smooth, and they have a great tempo, and the preparation, looking at the practice rounds, how they put fake placement cups for different pin positions, so they could be able to read, or at least know, have a basic knowledge of what direction the putt is gonna break. Then just on top of that, wedges, having them dialed in and going from 0 to 10 yards to 100 yards, and just the preparation is just hands down something that I have never experienced. That sometimes during my collegiate events, I get the placement cups down and put them down during the practice runs that we have. So it was great.
So you mentioned you get to walk the rope line, and it really blends into what you're doing, which is instruction. Obviously, um, every PGA of America golf professional is trying to be the best instructor. You're on your road to yourself to get your Class A membership, and you really touched on something with the women's game that I think a lot of people don't experience or get to see. They're very consistent. There's not a whole bunch to it. Their swings are very compact, very simple. Hit a shot, keep it moving. They're long, not as long as the men's game, which is fine. Whatever, everybody swings their own swing, and that's what I really enjoy about watching you kind of on your platform, or something that you've embraced with your students. But you mentioned something, how you're dissecting golf swings, walking down the rope line with your
Mhm.
mentor, and you're also doing instruction at the same time. Talk to me kind of about the mentorship. Obviously, with Kevin Hansen, you've had a lot of mentors over the last couple of years. But what's that like for you to have mentors, not only in the golf space, in operations, but also on the instruction side?
So when I first got there, I really wanted to teach, and Robert Huff, the first assistant, we were just talking, and he was basically asking me about my interests. So he found out that I really like teaching, so I went to the academy, and I would be that guy just shadowing on my day off, and maybe if I got off of work early. I'd be that guy with the backpack and the TrackMan and my notebook, taking notes about his different philosophies, even Laird's different philosophies, and because some of the people that I'm shadowing, like Kevin and Laird, they have PGA Tour pros that they teach. So I would just go there, get my notebook, and just be a sponge. Just grasp everything that they told me, information, every philosophy, preference that they had in the golf swing. And I would just take that down, and every drill that they wrote, I'd sketch it out. And that is kind of where that relationship, that mentorship came, because they were like, "Oh my gosh, he's going above and beyond." Even though he's off on Tuesday and Wednesday, he's he's coming to see me and putting that time to really perfect his craft. So since then, it's just been nothing but a great mentorship, great relationship that we just keep intact.
So the theme that I'm getting here, from obviously you getting to walk these rope lines, work with some of these great instructors. I get to work at these top-notch courses. People are paying thousands of dollars to come see them. Work on a swing, and you kind of getting to, on your day off, really get to experience what it's like to be a teaching pro is opportunity, right?
Yeah.
Being afforded to you and just taking opportunities of the situations that you're in, from writing your notes, taking videos, kind of notes in your own, your notebook or whatever the case may be, to kind of build your brand of what your teaching philosophy is. And I know obviously you're in the PGM program. We both went to the same PGM school, and you're still in the program. You're almost done now. Kind of on the back tail end of that experience. What's your kind of teaching philosophy as of right now, as you get ready to make that next jump and step in your career?
So my teaching philosophy, as of right now, is I use a lot of the golf machine. I got introduced to the golf machine by another great mentor of mine, Mike Dixon. I've known Mike since I was in high school. He used to be the director of instruction at Congressional, and boy, he's been a great mentor. Anything I needed, or if I ever wanted to pick his brain about anything, he's just been there. He's just recently just been nominated as a top 100 golf instructor. So he's been a great influence in my development of my philosophy. And then also Mike Adams has been a great uh, portion of my philosophy as well. And a little bit of Phil Kenyon in putting, and David Peltz in short game. So
I like that. I like that. I think that's
uh,
super kind of unique to kind of, as you start to learn more and more um, throughout your time in the program, from starting from basically nothing, not really knowing anything. Obviously, you have some experience because you went to congressional, but getting to have that experience over the last 4 years, 3.5 years, get to build and build and build, and as you learn, you get to say, "Oh, okay, 2 years ago that did make sense, but now it makes sense now that I'm kind of more further along in the teaching manuals and whatnot, of learning how to be a teacher, and getting those soft skills of again, how to talk to people and break down the swing so it's not so technical, but it's more so um, just an experience that you get to have as a player. Would you say you're more like a technical teacher or like a field player, or kind of in the middle, or something different?
I feel like I'm in the middle. I at least try to be, as everybody has different learning styles, and everybody can relate to different things. Like if I have a player that plays sports, I'm probably gonna relate a lot of golf philosophies and different positions, swing movements to his sport. While if I have somebody that's more into golf and more that wants to be more technical, I'm able to switch that kind of avenue, that switch.
I love that. So I know you wanted to talk about briefly, which I guess is not officially out yet, but I guess we can talk about it
Uh,
in kind of not detail, but kind of your next move of where you're going to next. So kind of tell people where you're going to next for your final internship, and tell me what you're, obviously you've gone through the process over the last couple of weeks to kind of get ready for obviously interview process and researching about like the facility. Kind of tell us where you're going and give some details or some early access to your next gig.
Yeah, so my next move, my next internship will be at Brookline, the country club in Boston, Massachusetts.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
So, what are you going to be doing there at the country club? Obviously, before I even go there, I just think that's a really cool, unique name. Obviously, them being one of the first country clubs like ever in
yeah,
the United States, there's no name. It's just the country club.
the country
And if
club.
you
Yeah,
only want to say at Brookline, okay, yeah, but they're just called a country club.
yeah.
So, how'd that kind of opportunity come about, and what's that process been for you over the last few weeks as you're preparing? Obviously, we're in March. Today is the 8th of March, so you're just about a month away, about a month and a half away from actually getting to fly out to Boston and live there for 7 months. So what's that process been like for you prepping to go to the country club?
It's been, I don't know how to explain it. It's been overwhelming, I guess, because it's just been overwhelming. Because during the transition or the period of looking for internships, I was kind of wishy-washy about where I wanted to go. I applied to a lot of different places. I wasn't hearing back from any of the places that I applied to, and it was just kind of in an uncertain certain spot. So I think it was January. I got a call from a great friend of ours, DeAndre Diggs, and he's like, "Hey, Colby, do you want to go play around the golf at Enterprise golf course?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm not doing anything. It's a nice hot day." And I was like, "Okay." So I grabbed my clubs. Went to Enterprise and actually ended up seeing you, Langston,
Yeah,
and I grew. And it was DeAndre invited you as well. So we had a fun time on the course, uh, and we were just reconnecting as we really don't even see each other like that since we're all traveling and all busy in our lives. So it was a nice time to just digress and just talk about life. So from there, we went to the range after playing 18 holes of golf.
right. And let's mention this before we even go into that next part. We all shoot rather well. I shoot 78. You shoot like what, 82 or whatever. This is like the first round of the year. Like the clubs have been in the closet like for weeks. Like haven't played because it's been cold and rainy and the weather just happened to be nice within the first week of January. We're like, oh, let's go play some golf. PGA, a good PGA professional, good PGA student ourselves. Let's just go to the range and break down our swings after we finish playing 18 holes. Comical.
Yeah. So from there, just basically breaking down our swings. I think you got an email.
Yeah,
Since you did an article, a great article.
yeah,
You
the,
should,
the PGA wrote an article about me like the first week of January, so a couple days earlier. Um, Obviously had done the article weeks prior to that. But I didn't know when the PGA was going to drop the article, and they just happened to drop the article on like the first of the year. Saying, hey, welcome to 2024. Here's a story that we think you should know about. And so yeah, the article dropped, and I got an email out of the blue from Brendan Walsh, who's the director of golf at the country club. Just want to say, hey, I really saw your story. I like what you're doing in the industry. Kind of, obviously you being assistant golf professional, but also being in the media space as well. And I really like want to get your thoughts on kind of diversity, equity, inclusion in the game of golf, which is really like a hot topic right now, and it's something that a lot of people are just kind of taking head on and experiencing, whether it's in their traditional golf shop or just in the golf influencer space. Obviously, Roger Steele, your Doug Smiths, your Will Lowry's, like you name it, Alexa Belton's, like, Maurice Allen, you name it. People are really kind of going after this topic and trying to, advance the game and make it more diverse. And so, yeah, he sent me a quick little email. He's like, "Hey, I just want to congratulate on the article. I think it's really cool. I'm really interested in diversity." So, kind of, we talked for a few minutes, and he said, "Hey, I'm looking for an intern. Do you know anybody looking for an internship?" And obviously, we've been talking, kind of been keeping me up to date on your internship process, trying to find that final internship. And it's funny enough, when we played that golf in early January, I wasn't expecting to see you on that day that we played. I was, and so that's really, and so I think honestly, um, and I think everything happens for a reason, whether in the golf space and just life in general. And if we wouldn't have stopped, um, obviously got delayed, which is crazy. We got delayed on our tee time like 15 minutes over, obviously, we played at Enterprise, great staff there, and I learned how to play golf there. And they were really, really cool. So we got delayed in our tee time. So we had like two groups go in front of us. We finally teed off. So we're late by 15, 20 minutes. Not the end of the world. It's middle of January. It's nice outside. We got nothing else to do on Tuesday or Monday afternoon. So we're like, all right, let's go. And then we went to the range. I don't think if we ever went to the range, this opportunity wouldn't happen because that wouldn't
Yeah.
have popped in my mind. And obviously, Brendan and me were talking. He's like, "Hey, let's sit down for a time to talk." So we talked for like 15 minutes. He says, "Hey, looking for a diverse intern. Do you have anybody?" And I look in front of me, not thinking about it, and you're sitting there teaching DeAndre, helping him on a swing move that he's been working on throughout the round, and just kind of making it more solid and make it fluid. Um, and I'm like, "Yeah, I got a guy literally right in front of me." And obviously he didn't know we were playing golf and whatnot. So when he hears this, because he's probably going to hear it eventually, we were playing golf and you're right in front of me. And then obviously I wanted to talk to you about it first before I just threw your name in the hat. So I said, "Hey, let me look and look at my network and see what I have, and I'll get back to you." And so we kind of ended the call, and I kind of quickly were shuffled over to you, and I'm like, "Yo, you're still looking for an internship?" This guy just called me out of Brookline, and I was like, they've hosted like majors and opens, and like it's like the first country club. It's like he kind of wants a diverse intern, somebody who wants to do instruction and like inside ops. I was like, "Do you want to go?" And I'm like, "Cool." we went out to we went out to dinner afterwards, and you're like on your computer in the parking lot, like firing off your your resume to me, so I can like proof it and we can send it off to him. And that's kind of how the process starts. And yeah, next thing you know, you're in Boston, um, for an interview. Well, before you go to that interview, you're at the PGA show, see him, Brendan, and you meet the team for the first time. And next thing you know, you're in Boston, and yeah,
Yeah.
crazy.
Crazy.
So, what was that experience up in like Boston? Because obviously for an intern, um, a lot of places don't fly you out to come see the
Yeah.
club. They were kind of like, "Okay, we like your vibe, we like what you're about. Do you want to come, hang out for a day in Boston?" What was that experience like when they gave you that call and say, "Hey, we want you. We'll see you in Boston next week." Um, what was that like for you?
It was just mind blowing because I've never, like I said, I never experienced that. And really, their onboarding process is probably, or interview process, is probably one of the best I have ever been a part of, internship wise. Even though I was an intern, or a candidate, a potential candidate, I was really involved in the vendors meetings. I actually got to meet the staff down there, all the assistants, all the people I talked on the phone with. In addition, I have to meet Brendan in person instead of over the phone and have dinner with them. And I got to also be a part of something amazing that they do every year, which is the alumni dinner, which is every assistant, every intern that has worked at the country club, they attend it. They attend the dinner. So it was great to be a part of it and great to meet new people and develop more personable relationships with the people that I'm gonna potentially be working with.
Nice. And so I'm just gonna assume. I assume that kind of helped make your decision when they kind of gave you a call and they said they wanted to offer you the job. Was that like, kind of an influence? Did you kind of have some kind of uh, hesitancy to taking a job? Kind of when they got that call, what was it like for you to say, okay, um, this is completely different than I've ever done? Like, what was that seal of approval? Say, okay, I'm doing this.
Yeah, that played a huge factor. Then also being able to actually visually and physically see the club and walk around the clubhouse and see the different staffs, whether it's hospitality, culinary, being able to see what they do behind the scenes. So that played a huge factor as well.
Interesting. So that's your final stop. You'll do that internship starting in May, correct? I think
Yeah,
May. Yep.
yeah, May,
And then now run through basically
December,
the
November.
the fall
Yeah.
semester. So we talk about December, early January. And then you'll come back and you'll graduate and you'll be a PGA member, which is something super unique. Obviously, right now, if anybody knows, there's 231 black PGA professionals in the country. Um, you'll probably be like 234, 235, maybe. Who knows what the number is going to be? But what's that going to mean to you after you graduate? You get that first full time job to be able to put, PGA behind your name and say you're a PGA of America golf professional and I've studied kind of business of the game of golf to kind of say, okay, this is what I want to do with my career.
It's gonna mean a lot. It's gonna mean a lot, like really, because I've been working on this since I was 16. I've been kind of in the industry, so it's just like being able to see that all those hard hours and dedication is just really would just be paying off.
I think once you have the opportunity to get to that point and you finally get that letter in the mail, first of all, let alone graduate. That's a big step in itself from a really great institution like UMES, being in a top-notch PGM program that's super unique, where the staff really cares about your success and what you're doing with your career. I think a great boost for you. And then just to be a PGA professional and say, hey, I have the backing of one of the biggest sports organizations in the world to be a member and to be proud of something that you've accomplished. I think that's really cool. So we're wrapping up near the end of the interview. Again, if you're joining us, Colby Powell, student at UMES, curator of Colby Swings on Instagram, is joining me down in my episode today. We're gonna hit the final stretch here. One of my favorite part of the episodes. I'm gonna give you a couple rapid fire questions. You're gonna answer. Give me your answers, and then we'll go from there. All right. So here is the final stretch. What is your career round of golf? Career low round of golf.
2 under
2 under what course?
at Kiwa Island, Oak Point.
Okay. What is your favorite golf course you've ever played?
I really had to pick a favorite. Pebble Beach.
What's in your bag right now? What's in the golf bag?
T100 S irons, SM9 wedges, Phantom 5, Phantom X5 putter, TSR2 driver, TSR2 3 wood, TSI 3 hybrid.
So basically, what you're telling
Team
me, you're
Titleist.
a titleist. You're a titles guy, and titles if you're listening, help my boy Colby out. I can't say it, but he wants to be on that team. He's not going to be on the best team, but
Okay.
we'll save that for another day. What's your dream foursome? It could be dead or alive, and what golf course?
Okay. It'd be Augusta, of course. I would have Calvin Pete. I would have Tiger, of course. Arnold Palmer, and let's throw a modern in there. Let's throw Jordan Spieth in there.
Okay, so foursome, are you playing with them? Or are you just watching, or you gonna make it a fivesome and tee it up all five of y'all?
I'm just watching. I'm just on the cart. I'm just listening along.
I
But
love that.
if I would just cut somebody off, it'd probably be Spieth. But I just joined those three.
I love that. What is your favorite golf memory?
My first hole-in-one at the Hay, designed by Tiger Woods.
Nice.
Yeah,
How far was it?
it was 100 yards.
100 yards. That
And
means that's
yeah.
maybe like a saucy little wedge, probably for you.
Oh, it was a pitching wedge.
Okay.
But it was crazy. What's crazy is it was during a playing lesson with some juniors from high school. And we were just playing the Hay, and I was teaching course management and playing with them, and I ended up getting a hole.
I love that. This is always a good one. What is your pet peeve on a golf course?
People who do not fix their pitch marks,
Yeah.
their divot marks. That is my pet
Uh,
peeve.
for all my superintendent colleagues out there, we appreciate y'all. But they
Definitely.
always ask fix your ball marks, and if you make a ball mark, fix another one too. 'Cause it goes a long way, especially if you're playing at a busy course. Helps the greens, and they'll always be smooth and never bumpy. What is one word to describe your golf game?
Dangerous.
Ooh, ooh, whew,
The
jeez,
putter's
Louise,
getting hot. The putter's getting hot, even though it's cold outside.
I like that. And the final question: what's your piece of advice for somebody who may want to get into the golf industry?
My piece of advice would be do what you're passionate about. And that if you're really passionate about it, chase after it. Network, connect, use different social platforms like LinkedIn. That's a great way to connect with other people in your profession and have faith in yourself, believe in yourself, and that's just about it.
I love that. I don't know if you're reading my rundown of my podcast, but you lead perfectly into my final question. Where can the good people connect with you on social media?
Okay. So you can connect with me at Colby Swings on Instagram, or you can follow me on LinkedIn through Colby Powell. ColbyPowell.
There you go, folks. Colby Powell, he's a student at University of Maryland East Shore PGM program, founder of Colby Swings on Instagram. Give him a follow. Colby, thanks for stopping by. I really appreciate it. Best of luck to you the rest of the semester, and especially this summer at the Country Club at Brookline. Congrats on your role, and looking forward to see where you go to next.
Thank you, Langston, for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
Guys, Odyssey is changing the game once again. They're out with a brand new line of putters, introducing the AI1 putters, where you putt smarter. Having two absolutely incredible looking designs featuring a unique navy blue PVD finish. These putters look great. Featuring an all new and updated Stroke Lab 90 shaft, featuring its lightweight steel, depending on the grip size, obviously, a little counterbalance in there as well. It's going to appeal to even more golfers, but it uses artificial intelligence to help make a face that gets you more consistent ball speed from even off center hits and gets you closer to the hole. Now, there's a firmer feel, our model called the milled version, and then obviously you have the AI one, which is the white hot face, which everybody knows and loves, which is that softer insert. So head to CallawayGolf.com, check out the Odyssey section where you can see these latest line of putters. They come in all your favorites, and I guarantee you one's gonna be in a bag near you. Folks, thanks for checking out my conversation with Colby Powell. I hope you enjoyed it. He is truly on a bright future ahead of us, and keep his name in your mind when it comes to golf instruction. Don't forget to check out his Instagram. Before we go, connect with me on social media. I'm at Langston Frazier on Twitter, now known as X, and Instagram, and let me know who you want to hear from next and the topics you want me to cover on the podcast. Use the hashtag TLFSPod to connect with me, and also don't forget to subscribe, comment, and rate, and most importantly, don't forget to share the podcast. You can find the Likes of Fraser Show podcast on Apple, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, Google, and many more platforms. So subscribe today wherever you get your favorite podcast and just search hashtag TLFSPod or the Langston Fraser Show podcast to find it today. Until next time, I'm your host, Langston Fraser. We'll see you back here next time for another episode of the Langston Fraser Show.